Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hello, and welcome to the March 25th, 2021 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with me, your astrologer from Central Florida, Shelley Overton. I want to welcome you to the podcast this week, and it's going to be probably a zippy one because I have a reading scheduled after, and I need to get this in. Every time I do it, it seems I'm racing against the moon. Moon's void, of course, as of 9:30 Eastern time today in the morning, and so it is once again telling me that I have to watch what I do because I may or may not have it work out, and hopefully this week it will, knock wood. Okay, I'm already in my second recording of this podcast. So we're going to just go over what's happening in the week from the daily planner. We're going to go over the chart, and we're going to cross our fingers that there are no glitches. Yay! I've got Mercury opposite my Pluto currently, so we'll see how that goes. And I've had some caffeine, which is always helpful, especially today. Even though I've had caffeine, I still feel a little drowsy, which is that Mercury and Neptune in Pisces today. Okay, so the moon does go into Virgo tonight at 11:25 p.m. Eastern and 8:25 p.m. Pacific. So throughout the day, we have Moon in Leo, which I really like. I like Leo energy. It's more childlike, youthful, energetic, creative. It focuses on leadership. It focuses on connectivity, which is, of course, the opposite energy to Aquarius. And, of course, we have Saturn at 10 degrees Aquarius and Jupiter at 21, which means the moon just passed a direct opposition to Jupiter, although we may still be feeling it. Whenever the planets go through Leo, if you have Leo planets, you're currently experiencing a Saturn opposition or a Jupiter opposition. They are positioned fairly close to almost every degree of that sign. We've got Saturn at 10 degrees opposing everything from 2 degrees of Aquarius, 2 degrees of Leo through 18 degrees of Leo, and we've got Jupiter at 21 Aquarius opposing everything from about 13 degrees of Aquarius to 29 degrees of Aquarius, which pretty much covers everything but the first couple degrees and the last degree. So you've got the full range of Aquarius opposing Leo right now. And how I come up with that is I take an 8-degree orb on either side of the planet, and that's a range of opposition or connectivity to the aspect. And so you see that in whatever planet you look at. My software, my astrology software, actually allows me to give the degree of orb that I want to be considered an aspect. And that's what I do because 8 degrees is a nice generic number. It's a broad enough range that I can see an approaching aspect and know there may still be an influence. I may be changing that to 5 or 6 degrees just because personally, I think that when you study orary astrology or astrology of an event or the moment, so in other words, when you look for an event, you can create a chart for that event in the future, an elective chart, and you can also read a question. If somebody asks you a question, you can click and create a chart for the question and then do an orary reading. It's a little more complex than this, but hey, if you are interested in more, I suppose you could do some research. I only touch on it in my Learn Astrology book, which is up on my website too. But so that range really gives me a more concentrated understanding of approaching aspects and what can go on with that. Sorry, I'm going to take an aside here real quick and let you know that I do have a blog up this week. I just posted it yesterday. It's about the Boulder shooting, and that's my native hometown. And so I took some time, a couple days, and wrote a blog about it. I break down the astrology of the event from different angles, including using a bi-wheel for the city of Boulder and a bi-wheel for the state of Colorado. and also a couple other shootings. Shocked to find out that there were a dozen other shootings since 1993 in modern times. And you'll see my interpretation of why that might be in the blog if you're interested. Hopefully you will see it as sensitive. It is, as far as I wrote, because I have an emotional connection to that city and the area. I think it's pretty sensitive, but there may be some triggers within it just because of the subject matter. Anyway, give it a look. It's at angeliczodiac.com. And then I'm going to go over what's going on this week. So today is, Thursday, the 25th, and we have the moon enter Virgo tonight. I always seem to be battling the void of course moon when I record this, and I'm going to do it all the way through. I've got this reading coming up in about 25 minutes, so I'm going to just make it 25 to 30 minutes long this week. And Virgo moon, well, today we're in Leo, and Leo rules children and creativity, leadership, and connectivity. And so it does oppose all the Aquarius stuff, like I said. And so if you have Leo planets, you're feeling this opposition to Aquarius, which can make us feel isolated and detached from people. It's interesting because, obviously we all have some Aquarius segment of the sky in our charts. We have the planet Uranus somewhere in our charts, and that will also influence us in that same way. There's a detached energy from Uranus wherever it falls in our charts. And then currently we have the Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius, which in theory from last year, looking forward to Aquarius, it's like, yay, there's independence and autonomy, entrepreneurship. And those of us who are strongly influenced by Pluto or water signs, or, maybe airing out some of that watery energy and drying up a little bit of that overwhelmment. But that being said, Aquarius can trigger those mental health issues, especially in isolation and a pandemic that we had maybe hidden for a long time, and they're coming up now. Pluto in late degrees of Capricorn is really bringing out some end of story, end of life issues, and the Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, but it is in the next sign of Aquarius, making it really detached from those authoritarian and controlling issues. So I just want to express that there may be some depression or other ways of coping or processing the emotions that have been coming out. And Venus just got into Aries. Of course, at that point, we saw this horrendous event happen last Saturday. And of course, the week approaching the Venus in Aries, because the Sun also had been at n degrees of Pisces, Venus was at n degrees of Pisces, and that the cusp between n degrees of Capricorn and n degrees of Pisces are both areas that we see end of life, end of story, and a transition. And so, those are the times when we're probably more so than any other part in the sky, any other placement of planets in the sky, really, well, maybe the one other one would be the end degrees of Scorpio. And so those three ending points in the zodiac really show us the energy of transition and how we process losing things, losing material things, losing emotional connections to people, and processing that. So I guess I want to touch on that a little bit today, because I think that there is definitely a deeply emotional energy this week because of what happened with shootings. I just feel like this is just a moment in time that we are experiencing where there's kind of additional energy that we have to process. And as Neptune is now at 21 degrees Pisces, he is in the last decan of the zodiac of his sign. And so he is in the Scorpio decan of energy, which means endings. And so we are going to be feeling this even more pointedly while he transits that area. And of course, we've got the energy of Virgo, which is also a healing energy for Pluto. So Pluto's in the last decan of his sign, and that is the health decan, which is the Virgo ruled area. And so those energies come out in our world, and we see that as a theme in society, an overarching theme. Today, I know we heard, well, I just saw someone post something about Kim Jong-un, who is, I guess, testing ballistic missiles, and that would also be a militaristic connection to the last decan of Capricorn, the Virgo decan, military, health, service, all those. But unfortunately, the negative side of the military is, for me, from my perspective, being a peace-loving Buddhist, the war aspects, which are being triggered right now because we've got Venus desire in Aries trying to show a more aggressive side and really wanting to express assertiveness and ambition, aggression. And then the sun is also the ego in the sign of Aries. So really both the light of the sun and the planet of Venus are combined in that desire towards more aggression. They are combust overnight tonight. And that means that combust means they are at the same point in the sky. And because the sun is so enormous, it overlights the energy of Venus, and it acts as if it completely engulfs in that fiery energy, the essence of desire, the essence of femininity, and rage on some level for the feminine collective. So Thursday to Friday is going to be this incredibly intense, powerful movement of that story. And I haven't really looked. I do know that there is a news article about women's soccer. I believe it was soccer. My apologies if I get the story wrong, but about having equal pay and equal facilities. I think it was the soccer ladies, and I'm not sure which event it was, but how, pardon me, again, the nose always, it's like every single week. I apologize. But the ladies are, like going to a facility that was subpar to what the men have. The men have catering. The ladies, from what I saw, basically don't even have or didn't have snacks. But apparently the news story about it was enough to get something to be done about it, which is real shame that, character, people, where's your character? Where is the obvious treating people in an equal manner for equal activity and for equal pay? I'm sorry, but it's just, are you kidding me? I just don't understand anymore. I'm really kind of at my limit, and I apologize for the rant, but we are at this time of humanitarianism with Aquarius energy, and it's not okay. It's just not okay to treat people any other way than equal. We are all equal under the skin, and it's just the way it needs to be. And hopefully by the time Pluto gets to the end degrees of Aquarius, enormous shifts have happened in our society that reflect that. Because I can guarantee you Pluto's transit through Aquarius is going to really show us our true human nature and where humanitarian efforts need to be placed. Not always going to be comfortable, not always going to be pretty, but will definitely bring us out of this fog of racism and bias and BS. But pardon me, I digress. Okay. Anyway, March the 26th, Friday, we have Moon in Virgo, and it's going to be a little bit of a difficult day because Venus does start out the day, combust the sun in the Eastern time zone, and of course she ends the night Thursday, which is tonight, the 25th, with that combust energy in Aries. And so, yeah, overnight, every time we have the Aries energy, it represents a movement of energy, an assertive movement, and that can be translated to aggressive. It can be translated to violent, but it also can be translated to headstrong and assertive. So it's not just violent. It is the energy of youthfulness and childlike energy that wants to just get it done and move forward. So I know that at times a lot of astrologers I've checked in with are like, oh, just be careful of your temper. Yes, there is an awareness of temper. And, thinking back on when my kids were young and how they processed their temper, my daughter threw a little tantrum when she was 5 years old and hit the wall with her hand in a fit. And there just happened to be a palm saw down low that was left there, and it cut her hand. We had to go get stitches. My little Aries girl and her temper. And then my son, didn't know what to do with his temper and went out in the garage when he was young and hit a car and left a dent in it, which is a pretty good hit, but he was only like 9 or 10. So those had to be addressed. Of course, how do you process your anger? And anger comes from frustration and from fear. So, it seems counterproductive in my mind to say, stuff your anger down and don't experience it. That is not the way we need to deal with it. We need to process it. Or it gets expressed in ways like happened the last 2 weeks with guns. Yeah, we can't get into that topic. But I will say that when we don't process our temper, when we don't process our frustration, when we don't process our fear, we act out in aggressive ways. So maybe this time of Aries is going to be a time of understanding why we feel these emotions. Of course, a lot of it is internal, but can be triggered by the external. So we really need to look at what our relationship is with the external. And of course, that's a huge part of the fire sign storyline, having Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius being the fire signs. Aries wants to be active and express that heightened sense of physicality, which is inherent. If you think about when you exercise, which is really Sagittarius, and Aries can be sports, can be athletics, so is Sagittarius. I find Leos express their physicality more through fire. And I always, when I watch these videos online of people doing glass blowing, I really connect the glass energy to Leo and the creativity of lava and the flow of that liquid magma and that kind of thing. So I see Leo as acting in a creative way within its environment, forming something, and the youthful exuberance associated with the creative process, where Aries is probably more not used to, energetically used to the creative process as much as more into the energy of blood flowing through the muscles and feeling that rush that you get when you express in a physical sense. So Aries is much more of the youthful exuberance and the feeling of the body and coming into the body, because again, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And then Sagittarius, I've got chills with Sagittarius for some reason. Sagittarius wants to keep moving, wants to be on the go, wants to experience the activity of the fire sign in the expression of connectivity to people, because remember, Sagittarius is in the top half of the zodiac. So he is about the collective energy and the collective experience. So he wants to connect to the collective and how we experience energy as a culture, as a foreign energy, and through the learning and the process. And so it's a process in the zodiac of understanding energy expressed out from Aries, the new fresh, to Leo, how do we connect to others one-on-one and create something, to Sagittarius, which now we have learned and we're growing and we want to express out to other people. So it's a process of energy understanding through the fire energy. So that's kind of where we're coming into right now. We've got only the South Node in Sagittarius. Let me see if I can open up a chart with asteroids and see if there are any asteroids in Sagittarius right now. So we've got Juno, which is the moon of my mind just blanked, Jupiter's moon. And yeah, Juno is in Sagittarius at 23 degrees, and then the South Node. So it can really be about love relationships and connectivity to our collective family home as we are in countries. Of course, Kim Jong-un and what he's doing is definitely part of that. So anyway, I digress. Well, I don't digress. I express. How about that? That's a better way to put it. Anyway, so Friday the 26th, we're going to have a lot of inconjuncts and a trine to Uranus with the moon. And we've got a square of the moon to Mars and Gemini. And so we're going to feel a bit stressed out. I think we've got Virgo wants things to be meticulous and contained and understood. She wants to teach. She wants to be part of the process of education and understanding and analysis. And of course, we still have Vesta, the asteroid of taking care of the information in Virgo. So it is very analytical throughout Saturday and Friday. And because she answers to Mercury, and Mercury is the ruler of Mars right now in Gemini, there is a square of energy between Moon in Virgo and Mars in Gemini, and it really does trigger our words. It triggers what we understand to be true, and more friction around words and action because Mars is answering to Mercury. Mercury is still in Pisces, so quite honestly, we have Mars in Gemini answering to Mercury in Pisces, which square. And then we have Moon in Virgo, which is going to oppose Mars and square Mercury. It is a difficult weekend of expression, communication. I dare say there may be even more aggressive action coming out in society. I don't want to think about that. And quite honestly, I've tried to avoid it for at least 6 months because it seems 2018 through 2020 with a lot of the Uranus in Aries energy and Pluto in Capricorn squaring, I honestly just got to be where every time I talked about astrology, it seems just like, oh, there's friction and we're going to have issues and it's going to be aggressive. And I just got really burnt out on that kind of energy. But we're at a point, and I know one of my strengths as an astrologer is recognizing when there are difficult situations coming about through the planetary aspects, and this weekend is no exception. You know, Mercury can rule anger or the expression, the mental expression of agitation, but it can also be accidents. So there may be something that comes about through distraction, which of course Mercury in Pisces is distracted, as I feel a bit that fog right now. And so I know that energy is out in society, that we're feeling a little drowsy, a little not on our game. Squaring Mars in Gemini, and it will be squaring the moon in Virgo. So it is action, transportation, thought processes. It can be accidents, it can be assertive behavior, and also words that wound. So it's journalism, it's activity through what is reported on. And also Mercury in Pisces can be people coming in from the past or information coming out from people that you had in the past connected to, and now they're maybe expressing something they hadn't told you about. It's the hidden things that were hidden are now being brought out, especially Mars and Gemini just says, you know, I'm going to hit that, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to tell you what I think. And then of course, Vesta energy in Virgo, and then Juno in Sagittarius, which is the communicator of blunt information. Just know that words and actions are going to be really stressy this weekend. And kind of honestly, I think I would want to put my head under the covers. Being a Virgo, and the Virgo part of the chart is being triggered, I would say Virgos, Geminis, Pisceans, Leo is going to be triggered this weekend. Aquarius may have some stuff happening just through Friday, but Moon in Virgo in conjunct Saturn and Jupiter. So Aquarians are going to be much more in their minds this week and this weekend. And so know that that's part of the story for Aquarius. Capricorns, they're going to have some aggressive words told to them. That's like the Pluto and Capricorn energy, and people who are Capricorns, they're in conjunct to the energy of Mars. So there's a little bit more aggressive action taken. This is, for me, one of the biggest stressors of the zodiac right now is when the planets go through Gemini and in conjunct to Pluto. Yes, today on Thursday, the moon is in conjunct to Pluto as well as we speak, as I'm speaking here now. Pardon me, got the angels tickling my nose. I think they're just sitting there going like that underneath my nose. And I only have a couple minutes to really wrap this up. I apologize. So we've got that combust energy on Friday, Venus and the Sun. So really ego is expressing very strongly in Aries. And then Chiron is at 8 degrees, which also means the Sun is hitting Chiron come Monday. And then Venus is hitting Chiron also probably a little sooner than that. I don't know if, Venus conjuncts Chiron on Sunday. And we have a full moon in Libra on Sunday. So full moon at 8 degrees, early Libra. So it is the Libra decant. And that means that the sun is shining on cooperation. So that honestly is our saving grace for the weekend. The full moon saying it's cooperation, it's diplomacy. Let's get along. Let's be cooperative. I know Joe Biden definitely has some Libra. He's a ton of Scorpio in his chart, but it also would put Libra in the subconscious part of his chart with his sun in Scorpio. And that means, oh my goodness, okay, I'm sorry. Got the tickles. So he's really going to have to be very diplomatic this weekend with what's going on. And I think the news stories will bear out that there is a lot to be cooperative about and a lot of diplomacy to be had coming into this weekend. And also Monday, we've got Mercury conjunct Neptune on Monday, and I've got SHHH, so Monday is the quiet time. It is very introspective. It is the time where we are highly in our psychic capabilities and awareness. So I just want you to know that that's coming in Tuesday of next week. Venus sextiles Saturn on Tuesday, good for desires coming true. Use tech, use entrepreneurship. It is emotion. The moon in Scorpio squares Saturn on Tuesday, emotion versus the detachment from emotion. And moon in Scorpio always tends to bring out those deep psychological issues. It's a lot of our righteous emotions. We've got Sun sextile Saturn on Wednesday, and so that's action marrying structure. I see that as a good day. Wednesday is going to be a real good time up until the evening when the moon goes void, of course. So I would say if you're going to get something done, go for Wednesday. There's only one square of the moon to Jupiter, which may mean information from other sources, either tech or foreign entities coming in and being at odds with what we truly want in our emotional life. So that's a foreign energy asserting itself. Thursday, April Fool's Day, and the moon enters Sagittarius at 1:59 a.m. So I think watch your words, but also Mercury sextiles the Pluto Capricorn energy, which is the power of words to change lives, on Friday or Thursday of next week, April 1st. And so we'll probably have our podcast come out. I'm going to record it that day or Friday, depending on how it goes with the energies of the moon. Anyway, that's the podcast for this week. I just wanted to share my art of the week. I don't think I shared this one, but I'll show you really quickly. This is my little lemon art. So if you're interested in that, go to my ShelleyOverton.com art site and check out my art. Anyway, that's all for the week. I hope you were able to keep up, maybe re-listen to it on a slower speed on YouTube. But anyway, please do comment on what you've got coming in and let me know how it's going for you, if you're able to really get a grip on your emotions. It is really an emotional time. New energies coming in, old energies still to be dealt with Mercury and Neptune. So we've got a lot of planets. They're still mostly on one side of the sky. It's a bit of a basket energy with the moon opposite all the other planets. So it's like a little handle of a basket. But anyway, please do start leaving some comments. I really miss the engagement of my friends who watch. Okay, that's all. Take care. Have a great week. And I love you, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
You have been listening to the Astro Energy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, ShelleyOverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.